Hello, everybody, and welcome to In the Doll World. I'm your host, Georgette Taylor, and I'm so excited to have you join us today. We have an amazing guest. His name is Fredo Hernandez. He is the owner of Frey'Dez Studios, as well as an art doll sculptor. He creates one-of-a-kind figurative fantasy sculptures. And I want to say thank you so much for joining us on In the Doll World, Fredo.
Oh, you're incredibly welcome. I'm really flattered and excited to be here.
Yes, we're so excited to hear about your journey. I love your dolls, and tell everybody a little bit about you and your journey and how you decided to start creating dolls and how you winded up on the show.
I've actually been sculpting since 2013. About a year before that is when I discovered the art of one-of-a-kind sculpting by accident. I was doing a Google search and I came across an image and it was stunning. So I started doing research, and at first I thought it was something that you can only do if you had formal education, like if you went to college for art or something like that. So when I found out that you could do it self-taught, I mean, my mind was blown. So what I did was I literally spent an entire year just researching, buying books, online tutorials, DVDs, PDFs, and I would just try to immerse myself because I'm a perfectionist and that can work for or against me. In this case, against, because I just took so long to just dive in and get my hands on clay. I wanted to have everything be perfect, and you know, it helped a little, but you really learn the most when you are doing it, when you're in it. And so I started off very tentatively. I still remember my first art doll. I figured it after Ariel, the Little Mermaid, and it's been an incredibly fulfilling passion because I've always been artistic. I grew up drawing, pencil to paper, and then computers came about, and that's when I kind of made the switch over to like 3D art. So I started doing some 3D images with some software, and I actually now use that software for the 3D model so I can get 360-degree views of poses so that I can apply that to the sculptures that I'm making and make them be more anatomically correct and proportionate, because I strive for realism. So I just use it as a tool now, and it's been nonstop inspiration for me because I get up wanting to create, and creating for me allows me to get into this Zen state where everything else negative really just fades into the background, and I'm able to be uplifted to kind of have a different perspective on what's going on. And it's just incredibly rewarding for me.
Wow. Well, that I think that's the sign of a person who has a true passion for what it is that they do. I mean, they just dive in, and like you said, the world kind of just fades away when you're in that space. When you were growing up, did you play with dolls?
Funny, interesting story. When I was younger, I was obsessed with GI Joes and with My Little Pony. So I guess now in retrospect, I've always been into fantasy, because what I used to do, one silly thing I used to do is I would cut off the GI Joe's feet at the ankles, and I would hot glue them back, but in a pointed position so that it looked so they looked more aesthetically pleasing to my eye. And on top of that, I would detach the GI Joe with the waist, take off the head of the My Little Pony, and put it together to create a centaur.
Oh no, that is
hilarious. I would just get so enthralled in that world, and I remember just hours and hours of playing with those figures. But that's really as far as it went. I never played with actual dolls or Barbies that I can recall. I mean, I'm sure my family has stories, but that was really, to my knowledge, the extent. And once I started drawing, though, I started drawing figures, And that's when I started to get into really designing their attire. I started to, because to me, the attire of something can really change the look of a figure, and it can take it into a completely different direction. So when I realized that, I was like, oh, so if I draw it with this outfit, it can be a completely different thing. So, you know, that's when that door opened and I started to kind of light up with even more excitement. But that was about the extent that I played with dolls when I was younger.
Okay, so you had always been an artist though. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So when you realized that you could do this as a something that was viable, that you didn't have to, like you said, go to school or study or anything like that, or at least attend college to do. Where did you find your videos? Where did you find the things that helped you to grow in that field?
A lot of the videos, I created tons of playlists on YouTube. But one of the most impactful ways that really helped me kind of get into it was becoming part of a online artist community. Now, I had been eyeing this community for a while, but I was very intimidated because I was still brand new, and you know, I was perusing through their members' photos, and I was like, I can't join this. These people are like icons in the industry. But I finally, you know, swallowed my pride, and I joined the International Art Doll Registry, and the community that was behind that organization blew my mind. It was the only organization I joined. Like I had joined back in the day when Yahoo had groups. I don't know if you recall, but I had joined a couple.
I think I'm a little old enough for that. Yeah.
And so I was a part of a few groups, but this group in particular was the one where I felt the most welcome. It felt the most warm, and the people there were just outstanding. They were very giving and generous with their information, and that's huge because in doing that, you're not only paying it forward, but you're allowing the art form to continue down up more generations. Right. So when I realized that, I said to myself, I'm going to share as much as I possibly can, because if I found this passion by accident, I know I'm not the only one who this is going to happen to.
Right.
So that community is what really propelled me mentally and also artistically with my skills, and I'm still with them today. When I first went in there, I had met an industry giant, Deb Wood, and she and I are still very close friends. I love her to death. But she actually transferred ownership of that organization over to myself. So I'm now the executive. That's nice. Yes, it was a huge deal for me being the executive administrator, because what I had said to myself that I want to share, now I'm able to assist our members and artists in bettering themselves. Right. So having that platform to really elevate all of the members and artists was a huge deal for me, because, I mean, it's cliche, but I'm going to say it anyway. You know, with power truly does come great responsibility, and it was no longer about me. You know, right. It became about the members, the artists, and that just tacked on a completely different level of enrichment in my life. So it's just been, looking back, I've been so fortunate to have found several passions in my life, because I know a lot of people struggle with finding a single one. So to really have so much in my life that can enrich me, I feel incredibly blessed. And so that's why I decided to take on the responsibility of the organization, so that I can hopefully be that for somebody else.
Yeah, and to be the person that you would be looking for when you started.
Yes, you know? Thank you for saying it that way.
Yeah, to be that person for them, you know, and I think that's really commendable that you want to do that. And I think also it allows you to to learn about the artist. A lot of times, like you said, you'll look at a sculpture, or you'll look at a piece of work or a doll or whatever, and not know the story behind that, or
Mhm.
how they created it or why they created it. So it gives you a
Yep.
more intimate connection with the artist and the creatives. You know what I mean? And so that it allows you to be able to help them even more, because now you
Yeah.
kind of know, their passion, and you know what their desire is to do, to create these amazing, sculptures and figures that they create. So
Yes.
that's pretty cool. Plus you learn too. I think you're in such a great space, to allow you to learn even more than you would have learned, you know what I mean, not being part of that organization.
Yes.
It helps your artwork too.
Yeah. And it goes back to, in teaching, you learn.
Yes.
And I think that is to be able to impact another individual's life in a way
Hmm.
where they will always remember you and you
Hmm.
contributed something so substantial. When you touch somebody like that, it's that in itself is just unadulterated power,
Yeah.
because when you can penetrate someone so deeply that they carry you through their life, I mean,
Hmm.
that's pretty much a legacy, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, that is. But I'm so glad that you were able to connect with them and found something in that group, to help you to move forward in the art that you create. So
Oh yeah.
I know you said that you always liked fantasy characters. Were there other characters that you decided to um, to sculpt as well besides fantasy characters?
I Yes, so I was a very big gamer. I did a
Oh,
lot
okay.
of, yes, a lot of fighting games like Street Fighter and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. So whenever I would come across a video game or movie character that I was just enthralled by, I wanted to kind of recreate that in a tangible form.
Mm-hmm.
And as time went by, I started to do that. And on top of it, put my own spin on the character of what I would have liked them to have looked
Mm-hmm.
like.
Okay.
So, playing those video games is just another avenue of inspiration. And it was just, to be able to have different areas where you can draw
Mm-hmm.
inspiration from,
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like you never run out of stuff to make,
Right, right.
which
Because
is so exciting.
because it
You
kind of
know,
broadens your horizon then,
yep,
it lets you go, like you said, from you looking at a character and saying, okay, I want to add this because this is how I see that character. So when you say you took the characters and you broadened them to creating something that you wanted to see, what kind of example would that be? So say you had a standard character, what would you do to make it a little bit more, Fredo-ist?
the Fredo spice. So
Yes, the Fredo
for,
spice.
for example, like the hairstyle of a particular character, if I thought, well, they would look so much better with longer hair, I'm just going to make them with longer hair, or
Hmm.
with this tweak on their outfit, or I'm going to give them this extra weapon so that they could be even more
Hmm.
of an awesome, character. So it was little things like that where it kept the integrity of the original
Right.
character, but you can tell that certain things were obviously changed. So it was just things like that. And then eventually that kind of went into me wanting to create my own characters from scratch. And that's what I did
Mm-hmm.
when I dabbled in the 3D programs.
Hmm.
Is I drew them out and then I recreated them in the software, and
Hmm.
that kind of became the platform for the characters that I wanted to make in clay.
Okay.
So the other fantasy characters that I'm obsessed with making are fairies, any kind of fairies, not just like your typical winged fairies, but you know, originally it was just, the pretty little fairies like
Hmm.
Tinkerbell type of stuff. But as time went on, it really evolved into even like the creepy fairies that you see
Hmm.
out there,
Hmm.
just
Right.
anything. And then my biggest one is mermaids. Oh my goodness. If you can't tell, I am
Yes.
obsessed with mermaids.
Yeah. Well, you say that when you saw Ariel, it was just like, oh, I have to
There you
do this,
go.
So I get that. I get that.
Mhm.
What was the first doll you created that you sculpted, from after learning all of this stuff that you actually sculpted yourself and finished? What was the first one you did on
It
that?
was it was actually it stemmed from a character that it was completely original, and I had drawn her out, and then I had created her in the 3D software, and from that 3D software I used as my reference point
Mm-hmm.
to make the face. So I remember making her in like a jumping pose, and because it was my very first doll, I realized after I made her that the face kind of resembled Cher a little bit, which was an added bonus because hello fan. And
Right.
the costuming was super basic. Like I
Mm-hmm.
took a cotton swab, I unraveled it so it was the long strip,
Okay.
and I made like a little top out of it, and then I made bottoms out of it. And you know, I it was very it was a very proud moment because
Yeah.
for me to go from vision to tangible creation,
Mm-hmm.
in that came a lot of power and confidence in as an individual and as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I still have, photos of her, but I made a point to keep the photos of every piece that I made so that
Mm-hmm.
people can see that, hey, you don't start day one making amazing, stunning creatures.
That's right.
You start from the bottom, just like you start walking as a baby. So I wanted to keep that there so that people didn't feel intimidated and then just said, these people are too good, I'm not even going to try, because that
Right.
would be
Right.
such a letdown for people
Yeah.
to not even try.
Yeah. But in a way, that's how you felt
I
when you came upon the group. Part of you was thinking, oh my gosh, like these people are just so amazing. How am I going to ever, you know what I mean? Like, why would I
yeah,
even join or, have some kind of hesitancy? So I appreciate you sharing that with people. And I also appreciate the fact that you do keep your pictures of the first type of work that you've done, because not only is it not only do you see the progression, you allow other people to see the progression and the growth. So when you did the first doll, how long was it before, like you said, when you were learning that process, how long was that span of learning, I should say, before you actually attempted to do a full
it
doll?
was, I want to say, a good solid year.
Wow. Okay.
And I kicked myself in the butt for a long time for waiting so long because, I mean, yeah, I was learning, but I also lost time in creating.
Mm,
And so I always think, how much better would I be if I had that extra year behind my belt of actual physical experience versus just
mm.
book knowledge,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
Okay, I
it's a
understand.
double-edged
But
sword.
yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, it probably is a double-edged sword. But I think too, part of that is, like you were saying before, the fact that you had to think about not being perfect
Mhm.
about doing it. So I think a lot of that stops people, especially creatives, because we're
Yep.
always doing something and we always have to find that perfect way to do it,
Yeah.
or that perfect moment when now is the perfect time, to do this, Then there's no such thing as perfection, I
Thank
mean, at
you.
the end of the day,
Yes.
there really isn't. So it's just a matter of taking the action and doing what you're passionate about. So it took a year, but it was probably a year that you needed anyway. Even though you don't think you needed it, but you did.
Thank you for saying that.
You
Yes.
know, you really did. So I know you won some awards for your dolls. So tell me about some of the awards that you won for some of your dolls.
So I made the female pharaoh Hatshepsut,
Yes, I saw that. Yeah, very
and
nice.
yes, she actually surprised me a little bit. I submitted her into the yearly gold contest for Professional Doll Makers Art Guild,
Mm-hmm.
and surprisingly, she won. I think it was second place in the
Uh-huh.
intermediate character category, and not only that, but I mustered up the courage to submit her to a doll magazine that was in print at the time, which was Art Doll Quarterly. And they actually did feature her in there. They accepted her. And woo, seeing your work in a
Yes.
hard copy magazine,
Yes.
it is another level.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, I was riding on such a high there, and I actually still have her. But that award was almost like the community or the public saying, hey, we see what you're doing. We like what you're doing. You are good.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and so understanding that was really what kind of helped me go from novice to what I can say that I know what I'm doing and have that confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of artists, including myself in the beginning, we struggle so much with being honestly our worst critic. Mm-hmm. We tear ourselves down so easily and so quickly that we fail to see what we actually have in front of us until a third party steps in and says, wow, who made that? And you're like, really, this is garbage, but it took some time for me to get to the point where I can say to myself, I'm in it so deep because I'm the one making it. I don't see what people see.
Yes.
I see everything I put into it, the entire process, start to finish. I see the flaws, but what somebody else on the outside sees is a complete finished piece, and it's just there. They don't know anything else about it, so it's completely unbiased. Mm-hmm. So they're the best judge of how good we actually are as artists. So at a certain point, I stopped listening to my own criticisms about myself. And I was like, what do I know? It really is subjective. And so I said to myself, for every type of artist that exists the perfect customer who is looking for that artist.
Man,
and
you're so right about that.
It just took so long to get there in the head.
Well, yeah, it takes a long, for some of us, I think,
right.
It does take a long time because you're just not used to having that validation a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
And things that you do. It's not something that people do on a regular basis. I'm saying with you personally, like, oh, you're so amazing at that. You're so amazing at that. You're so amazing at that. I mean, it's just not something that is presented to us or shared with us, even when we're growing up, and there's always these flaws and things that we think about from our perspective. But like you said, it's from our eyes and not from the other people's eyes. Once it's from their eyes, they get to see things in us and the things that we do differently than the way we look at ourselves. It's funny because when you were talking about seeing the dolls in print and everything, I remember when I was doing the Big Beautiful dolls with my friend, we were nominated for a Doll Excellence Award in 2002 for our plus size fashion dolls. Now we had just came out with them, I think in 2001. I mean, the dolls haven't even shipped. They were still stuck in China somewhere. And literally in 1999 and 2000, the internet was not the way it is now.
Yeah.
So basically, we had a website with a few pictures, and the pictures were on there for like a year before we even had production. Like it was crazy. And when they nominated us, I think, like you said, that was the time when we were like, holy crap, like maybe we actually did something. This is the Dolls Award of Excellence and stuff. It was just amazing. So I understand when you have validation from other people who are in that industry and they look at your work and say, you know what, this is really something special. And we want to to celebrate him. And so I'm excited for you. I'm excited that happened for you because
thank you.
I think too what it does, it elevates how you feel about your work and elevates you to a different level so that you can then help to elevate other people because now you get to see that what they're going through. Yeah. So what else do you have? Going on? Do you have any new dolls that you're creating or?
So I have a couple of pretty recent sculptures that I completed, I want to say last year. And I actually do have them here, so I'll show them to you guys
Yes,
in a
please.
second.
Yes.
But something that I'm over the moon excited about is literally last week, I made the decision to take on another artistic venture. So, and it's repainting Monster High dolls.
That's so
Oh
cool.
my God.
Oh my God, that is so awesome.
Now it's odd because in the phase where I was getting all of these videos on YouTube for my sculpting, I would come across these artists repainting these Monster High dolls, and I never gave it a second glance. I was like, that's cute, it looks amazing, and then I would move on to what I was looking for.
Right.
And it wasn't until literally 2 weeks ago is when the light bulb went off. I said, wait a minute. These dolls are being completely customized. I don't have to build the armature. I don't have to build the doll. The doll is there. All I can and what I can do is I could just focus on the legitimate creative aspect of that, which is the painting of the face, the applying of the hair, the creating of the outfits. And I said, that's a huge time saver. If I don't have to start from scratch, I can create so much more.
Right, yeah.
And so I'm just literally, it's no exaggeration, I'm so obsessed. Like three of my Monster High dolls that I just ordered from eBay arrived on Friday, and I was like a little giddy girl opening them up, and it's just
cannot wait to get to doing that, right?
Oh, no kidding. So this sculpture here is,
you know, we had Garrett Sander on the show too. You know, we had him on the show. Garrett Sander, the Monster High guy, we had him on the show.
Oh, I need to browse
listen
those
to his
videos.
interview. Yeah,
Okay.
Very nice guy. Very nice. Very
Excellent.
nice.
So this guy is, oh, hopefully you'll be able to see him. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
So.
Oh wow.
He's
wow.
So
that is so cool.
This is me wanting to do more creature-like sculptures. And you know, because I wanted to kind of break outside of just doing the traditional mermaids and fairies.
Right.
I wanted to expand the horizons and get a little more creative. So that's kind of like my creaturey side. And then I have this concoction over here, this mermaid.
Yes, I see on your site. Yeah.
So
cool.
She's a combination of 3 different, I guess, categories. She is paired with a ram, obviously for the horns, a mermaid, obviously, and floral. So we got the flower petals here.
Oh, that's so cool.
To create something, because I wanted to create.
Let's see a face close up a little bit more.
Yeah. I wanted to create something completely unique.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm just constantly trying to push myself. Thinking back, I remember taking on projects that I knew I had absolutely no idea of how I was going to create them or get it done. But I said to myself, figure it out, challenge yourself, do it. And I did, you know, like I created a genie and I was like, oh my God, what do people use? I don't have anything. But once I got over that initial anxiety, and I stepped back and I was like, relax, use your brain. I'd always figure it out. And that's something that I was impressed by, is that I was able to give myself a seemingly impossible task to my mind and yet still accomplish it.
Right.
So that's kind of the rationale that I used for this mermaid, is, you know, doing something completely out of my comfort zone, but that still excites me. Yeah. You know, and so, you know, there's some art dolls that I will not part with. And those are the ones that I created when I went to live sculpting seminars. I was actually able to learn from Deb Wood, who was in the industry for years. Wow. So I jumped at the chance. You know, I was able to attend three of her live sculpting retreats consecutively every year. And it was just an unbelievable experience.
Wow.
And to now have her as a mentor and friend, it's life-changing. And I've just had so many incredible opportunities, and she's just, honestly, if for the people who are watching that really want to understand just why I'm building these people up. So a celebrity like Deb Wood, for example, she is a celebrity in the doll world,
right.
Like I want to say Angelina Jolie is in the acting world. She's just, so to me, like if you were to put those two individuals in a room with me, I would geek out over Deb Wood,
Yeah,
because that's what matters to me. Angelina would be like, "Hi, nice to meet you." Okay.
Because that's your fangirl, right? That's the person that that you admire, because you're
right.
Because the other thing is too, you're in that field, so you admire the people who are doing that work and who have done that work to the level of excellence, that they have done that, and so it just becomes something that becomes so passionate for you to know her and to be mentored by her. That's wonderful.
Oh,
that's great.
Yeah.
That's really great. That's pretty neat. Look, when I do the show, I have fangirl moments. I understand, so it's all good. When I think I fangirl almost every time I have a show. Every time even when me and Tammy were doing the show, we fangirl all the time because, like you said, it's like the people in the doll world are really like our superheroes. Because we appreciate the art and we just admire the creativity and the skill and the passion that comes with creating these dolls, and that's what we want to do. That's what I want to do with the show, is to showcase people like them and showcase people like you who are out there making a difference in the doll world and creating things from your heart, and so we just want that to be something that people get to see. That's important.
Thank you for doing that.
Just like you found somebody to help mentor you, somebody will watch the show and say, wow, he didn't start from, he wasn't a person that knew how to do this, but, he decided that was his passion. He was excited about it, and that's what he did. And now look what he's creating. So I think that's pretty awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for your creations to the doll world. So so you said you're going to be doing some new projects, and you're going to be doing some repainting.
Oh, yes.
Monster dolls.
Yes.
In your new work, when you start creating more fantasy sculptures, and dolls, will you still stay as a one-of-a-kind artist, or
Always.
At some point you plan on? Okay, all right.
Yes. Okay. If the opportunity arises where
put it out there,
where I'm approached for a particular sculpture for it to be mass produced, I'm not going to say no. Like, give me whatever opportunities, but as far as me creating and me selling, absolutely one of a kind. The reason why the one of a kind world is such a niche is because people know for a fact that that is the only one in the world in existence. And that's actually the main part of the International Art Doll Registry, is that artists, members, can register their dolls as a permanent public record to prove that they are the sole creator and that doll is the only one in existence. So anybody can reference that registry, and okay, that's legit, And so I'm absolutely going to stick to one of a kinds, but opportunities, if you come knocking, I'm going to swing my door right open, but I'm never going to lose that one of a kind niche.
I understand that. Right. Yeah. So do you do commissions too?
So here's my take on commissions. Now,
just asking,
No, it's great. I'm loving these questions, by the way. So I've always held to me not taking commissions. The art dolls that I have on my website that are labeled as commissions are art dolls that I created for family, for
Gotcha.
friends that they didn't ask for, but I just created out of my own whim. And because to me, I think, okay, so if somebody asks me to create something for them, immediately, just like driving a brand new car off the lot, it depreciates in value. When you're doing a commission for someone, it immediately takes off you can't create whatever you want. You have to stick with certain parameters.
Right.
So to be boxed that way, something about that irks me. I mean, if I get a commission request saying, hey, make me a mermaid, I don't care what she looks like, as long as this is her pose, I'm on board.
But that's never the case.
It is rare. But that's my take. I mean, I haven't gotten requests for commissions. If I did, I doubt that I would turn it down. With what I just said about my feelings towards that, yeah, that's what I think, but is my perspective going to change when I actually, if I say yes to one, and I come to find out that, hey, it's not as bad as I made it out to be.
I understand, yes.
So I'm completely open, but I don't market the fact that I take commissions. So
I understand that. Okay, that's cool. Very cool. So we're gonna see more mermaids from you, or?
Yes, I will never stop. Oh goodness, I'm so captivated by these creatures because there's this beauty and fierceness and power that is all wrapped into a mermaid.
And a uniqueness too, I think.
Yes, yeah. I mean, to have something that's just so, it seems like it should be an actual creature in real life, you know. There's just something that really grasps on tight to me in my heart with mermaids. Whenever I see anything mermaid, I'm immediately attracted and my interest peaks. So because I'm still so captivated by them, I will always create them. Fairies are creeping up on.
Oh, nice. I like fairies too.
Yeah,
nice. Yeah.
On how much I love mermaids, but mermaids, I mean, okay, so funny sidebar story. Whenever I was living in an apartment and they had a pool, you know, or I would be at any kind of pool, I would always swim as a mermaid. And, you know, I would have the same motions and everything. I would pretend and fantasize. And then here comes Pinterest, and I see all of these companies that actually make like almost silicone like tails that you can buy. Yes. And I was like, oh, good Lord, I'm losing my mind. So I always fantasized about that. There's something incredibly captivating that will always remain there as far as mermaids go. They are just my one ride or die. You know, just I will never let them go. Yeah. And I just have so many ideas that are in my queue of types of mermaids to make. And what I'm fighting right now is being more of a person of action and less of a person of planning, because not being a person of action has really hindered me on every single level.
Yes.
Personally, artistically, professionally, and I'm done with it negatively affecting every part of my life. So, you know, now I am really, like with the Monster High thing, I said, okay, well, I'm gonna start slow. I'm gonna get the feel of things, and then I literally flipped a switch and I said, no, I have all this experience sculpting. I'm just gonna go full force. I'm just gonna do it. And so applying that mentality and mindset to every aspect of my life is something that I've struggled with all my life, but I am now being able to take the reins and say, that's it. Now's the time for anything and everything. And I'm just gonna stop wasting time planning.
And just do it. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Because I think a lot of people get caught up in that. They get caught
Yeah.
up in the planning process. You can
Hmm.
plan and never do anything.
Thank you.
Never do anything. So
Yep.
I appreciate you sharing that with us, because I think a lot of times people don't want to share the things that they know
Hmm.
or negative about some of the things
Right.
that they do or not do. So I
Hmm.
really appreciate you sharing that, because
Thank
somebody
you.
needs to hear that. You know,
Oh, yeah.
and myself included. I mean, you just don't take action on because you are thinking, oh well, I'm going to wait until this happens, or I'm going to wait
Right.
till that happens. And at the end of the day, you realize that you have everything that you need anyway already. And majority of the times we all do have everything that we need to move
Yeah.
forward. And once you start to move forward, then things show up in your life to help you,
Thank you.
because you've taken that action. Yeah. So yeah. So
Yes.
thank you for sharing that, really. But I appreciate that, and you'll do amazing. So
Oh, thank
you'll be
you.
amazing. You got passion for it and you have talent for it. So you'll be amazing at doing that. So
So sweet.
you're welcome. So one of the things too I wanted to ask, because most of the time when people talk about creators or creatives or artists, they always don't think people make money doing this type of work, right? And so they will be hesitant in being an artist or hesitant in being a creator because they feel they cannot earn any kind of income. So the work that you do, is it something that you still do part-time, or is it something or are you transitioning into a full-time so you can create income from that?
It's always been a part-time,
Mm-hmm.
um, only because of my real life full-time job in corporate America. Whenever I hear of people who, even members who are artists full-time, it's just, that's the life, but for me, it's always been part-time. Like before, I would just, as soon as I would get home from work, straight into the studio, and on the weekends, forget about it. There was one time where I literally I challenged myself because I want to see what can I actually get done in 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I did, obviously I did it on a weekend, but I did it. I went 24 hours and I finished an entire sculpture. I mean, grant you, it didn't have an outfit, it didn't have the hair, it didn't have paint, it was just the
Right.
clay form, but it was tough. But the amount of passion that you dump into each creation is going to translate to someone, and somebody is going to want to possess that in their life because of what that piece makes them feel internally. Just
Right.
like people buy $20,000 paintings at a gallery, it's the same deal.
Yes.
It's just that I know that there's this stigma in our community where we are looked down upon as doll makers and not actual artists. But that's only because these are people that have no idea what goes into making this.
Exactly.
They don't
Exactly.
have the perspective. They don't even try to educate themselves. But I remember back in the day on eBay where there was this one artist who sold a piece, and I believe the art doll was 10 grand.
Wow.
And she sold it for 10 grand. And that was like the height of the eBay days.
Mm-hmm.
And so people just don't even know that they can make an income out of this.
Right.
And
Right.
the ones that do, they scare themselves into thinking nobody's going to want to buy mine, But little do they know that if you are tenacious about putting your work out there on eBay, if it doesn't sell, going through the process of relisting it over and over until it sells, there's just, you don't know when the right time is. If your listing could end 20 minutes ago, and then 1 minute after that, that perfect customer could have been looking for it and didn't find it because it ended and you didn't bother to relist it. And the stars just don't align because you stopped trying.
Stop trying. Yep.
And so as long as you know, the passion is there and you don't allow yourself to be your own worst enemy, and you just go at it and at it, it's going to pay off. You know, I remember when I sold my first art doll, I was floored. I was like, wait a minute. You mean that I can do something that I'm in love with and get paid for it? It's like now I know what those people feel like, you know?
Mhm.
And it's a really surreal feeling because you almost feel like you're stealing or you're cheating life somehow, you know? It's like, oh my God, I figured this out, and I don't have to have a job that I hate. I can actually
Right.
do what I want to do and make money off it. So,
Right.
but a
Yeah.
lot of people don't have that perspective, and it's very sad, but it's possible. I mean, in my opinion, anything that we can literally imagine, I believe that it already exists in
Mhm.
existence in like the metaphysical, you know,
Right. Yeah.
because it's like if everything, if you know, scientists have already proven that everything is energy, our
Yeah.
thoughts and feelings are energy, why is it so out of reach that the ideal person that I want to be, or the ideal life that I want to have, I can't?
Right.
It is because when people say, oh my God, I was just talking about you the other day and here you are calling me, like that's a thing, you
That is a
know?
thing. That truly
And
is a thing. It
but
happens all the time.
yes, but people stop at that and they don't realize that they can apply that same principle to every other area in their life. It might take a little longer, but again, if you stick with it, if you're putting that off on a consistent basis, surprise,
Mhm.
something's gonna happen.
Yes,
It
something's
might
going to be
not be,
attracted to it. Mhm.
yes, it's not gonna be the exact thing, but it's gonna be something that is a step towards that, maybe, you know?
Yes,
So
exactly.
I'm huge on that. And
Yeah.
so that's how I try to live daily, really.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I mean, I was just going to ask you too, and you probably answered so much of it in the no in the last question, because I was going to ask you, just share with other, like, young artists or creatives, or not even just younger people, but anybody who wants to start creating dolls. What would you say to them, like how to start, or what would you say to them to help them to, like you said, take action to something that
Mhm.
it is that they want to do, even though they may have a fear about it.
So immediately it would be support. So, you know, talk to your family, tell your friends, hey, this is what I want to do. I'm really excited about it because of XYZ. And you do that to find the people that are going to be excited for you, that are going to support you, be like, oh my God, you should totally do that because you'd be great at it because of
Hmm.
this and that. Then you know who to go to so that they can be your battery chargers. When you start the process, there's gonna be downs, you know, we're human beings. So when it does happen, that's when you go to these people. You already did your research, you know exactly who to go to, you don't have to guess. You know, they're going to be that reassurance that you need to be like, oh, okay, that's right, I forgot that. And then you get back to doing what makes you happy. That coupled with a little bit of research, a little bit, don't overdo it, just get enough to where the basics, you know, go online, figure out the supplies that you need,
Hmm.
figure out the do's and don'ts, and immediately after that, just start. Because, you know, there's people out there who you can explain a process till the cows come home, but until they get in that driver's seat and they
Yep.
do it themselves, that's when it clicks.
Hmm.
Oh, I get it now. I get what you were saying when you said this. And so find those people that are going to be your cheerleaders, then do a little bit of research, the minimum that you need, and then literally start. Because if you find something that ignites a fire in you, you have to be crazy to let that go, because it can be so rare. So when it comes your way, you have to hold on to it, and because you'll find that you'll want to get up earlier in the morning so you have more time to do this, and that's just going to spill into every other area of your life. Yeah. And so those three things would be my biggest. Find your cheerleaders, research on the basics, and then get in that saddle and hop to it.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much, Fredo. That was really, I just think it's always really helpful, especially for the people who are on the show and they're in the process of already doing that work, because they know what it took for them to get to where they're at, and they know what it took for them to feel confident about, the work that they're doing and the passion that they put behind that. So I really appreciate you sharing that with everybody. So so let everybody know where they can see all your amazing art dolls. Where can they find you?
So I'm a techie guy, so I try to be on every social media platform you can think of. My main site is Frey'Dez Studios.org, Frey-studios.org. And I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, I'm on TikTok. And then I also have a link tree. I don't know if you know what link tree is.
Yes, we have
okay.
one. Yeah.
And so I'll have all of my links on there. So, and I believe it's just Freydez Studios, all one word, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And it'll have every single link on there. Yeah.
Okay. All right, great. Wow. Well, thank you so much, Fredo, for being a guest in the doll world. I love your work. I'm so excited to see all the new things that you have coming out. And yeah, and I'm sure people are going to be really interested in seeing your repaints of the Monster High dolls. That's such a great little community as well. We're excited to see all the things that you have coming. So thank you so much.
I'm incredibly grateful. I had a blast talking to you. You're an absolute sweetheart. You have this real nurturing aura that comes off of you. So thank you for being so sweet.
Thank you so much, honey. I really appreciate that. I really do. But it's because I have such amazing guests, that give, honestly, that give of themselves, and do amazing work and support the doll community. And that's really why the show exists, because I've been in that community, and I just want other people to see everybody else who was in that community and get a feel for who those people are and their journey. So thank you for being a part of that.
Thank you very much. It was a blast.
Thank you so much. All right.
Bye.
We'll talk to you soon. Bye.